Damn, before I even start this video, I just want to say it is hot as fuck in the third world right now, dude. I am dying. It is fucking scorching, bro. For clarity's sake, it's always some Eastern European dudes that speak English as their fourth language, or some like nasally American guy that you can tell has never seen a vagina in his life, that cover underground artists. So I'm here to break the mold. I'm a racially ambiguous fuckboy, and I'm here to save the game like a white rapper. Speaking of white rappers, as of recording this video, 2hollis has amassed 761,000 monthly listeners on his Spotify. For those of us that were around since the OS6 chainmail days, that shit seems crazy. Now, as a fan of his work and the subgenre he occupies, I'll be unpacking who he is and how he achieved the heights of success that he's currently experiencing. I'll also be going over his entire body of work and giving you my opinions on each album, like you care. But I also did the same thing for his rival, Starboy, so go and watch that if you haven't already, or I'll put fentanyl in your drinking water. Okay, we're about to demystify this motherfucker. So his government name is Hollis Fraser Herndon, and he was born on January 5th, 2004. He's an American singer, rapper, and producer from Chicago, Illinois, but moved to and developed his sound out of Los Angeles, California. We recently had a complex interview with him, but these motherfuckers were talking about Aura and Elden Ring, and not much about his inspirations and creative journey other than what we already know. We did get some intel on him being addicted to Minecraft, which is pretty gay. We also know that he was a theater kid and that his hair isn't real, which is pretty crazy, but Echo 2K wears whole ass wigs, so we'll overlook that as well. It's still challenging gathering information on his creative journey, and most other people talking about him are only interested in shitting on him for having connections to the music industry, like his mom being the co-founder of Ausla alongside Skrillex, that she also manages, and the Biz3 company, which has worked with damn near everyone under the sun. I mean, these lists of their clients are so fucking expensive. I saw artists I would have never even imagined on here. But then again, Hollis did work his way through the underground, and he is pretty much self-established, so I'll always give him his props for that. His earliest work I was able to find was on an alt SoundCloud page, using his first alias, Drippy Soup. Thank God he changed it. It's hard enough letting gang know I fuck with someone named 2hollis. A lot of this stuff sounds like pretty early Blade releases, especially Alone with the 3 produced by Loso. Yes, that's the same Loso that was a member of Hyperpop JP with Starboy and Out of Town. Now apparently Hollis credits Jonah Abram as the first producer that took an interest in his music as far back as 2017. He produced both Evil Heart and Artificial, as far as I can tell from the SoundCloud page. There are some gems here, like Really Saved Me, which is pure SoundCloud magic. The same goes for Sacred Mushroom, Ancient 808 Freestyle, and What's This? For a second I was teleported back to 2015, better days before I fully comprehended the consequences of the Industrial Revolution, and read Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Side note, there's also a burner account that has a lot of the live edits, snippets and throwaways uploaded on it, which is worth taking a look at because the track list is hot as fuck, especially if you're a fan of the Meta and 2 era Hollis. I first discovered Hollis on the Yumiko Spotify page, which has since been deleted along with the albums it archived, including Finally Lost, As Within So Without, Lost Files, and The Y'all. But SoundCloud users are nice with the archive, so these are still accessible. Now, a lot of 2's old music is kinda nerdy, esoteric, and Renfair-esque. Also, as a disclaimer, I'm not going to discuss all of his music because there's simply too many releases that are difficult to find, and some I couldn't find at all. Plus, I'm already splitting this into a 2-parter because it's gonna be as long as my dong. So instead I'll be covering EPs, LPs, and singles that I feel are significant and that I still really enjoy, or some that are like important for the context of his sound. Starting with the EP Tree, released in 2020, in which Hollis already shows massive promise. On I Don't Care, his production is loud and abrasive but infectious. The same goes for Me, but he's experimenting with the shrieking ad-libs and exploring his vocal range, even if it is drowned in effects. Is a more mass-appealing hyperpop song, I think Midwestern glaive, but slowed and reverbed. It's still unspeakably hard, even if it's a little derivative, but the synths have an ethereal quality to them, and the drums contrast that by being super thick and viscous. Then we have the pixie core hyperpop infused It's Over, which goes, but it may be more of a stereotypical copy-paste of a hyperpop sound than any of the other tracks. If you've heard an Overgang song, you've heard this track. The next EP he released is titled Meta, and it's one of my favorite 2hollis projects. Actually third most behind 2 and Boy in that order. The Drain Gang inspired album cover is the first thing that drew me to the project, but the songs are more than impressive. They all start with a reversed poem or verse that sounds like an introductory rite before witnessing a Black Cloak secret society ceremony. Conflictions, Shadim, and Greenspore Valley are my favorite tracks for sure. The cold metallic synths in Conflictions cover you in an ice-cold fog that prepares you for what sounds like introspective diary entries, a trip report, and a little esoteric dialectics folded into one. Shadim is a high-energy, high-paced track with a little intermission featuring a beautiful viola. The track's title is a reference to Jewish mythology, and the term itself is a reference to demons, which 2hollis is citing as a source of his negativity that seems inescapable. The final track of the EP is Greenspore Valley, which is a chainmail classic. We have some more references to staples of fantasy, mysticism, and mythology woven into the track, and the synths transport you straight into an 8-bit fantasy adventure game. And now we've reached the first body of work that really caught my attention and made me a 2hollis fan, that being The Y'all. Spoiler alert, it doesn't hold up. In fact, it kind of sucks. It was just something new to my ears at the time, and so I really did gravitate towards it. The first track, The Escape, makes for a beautiful introduction to the project. 2hollis flexes his production chops, and the track has an overall ethereal feel to it, ending with clips of birds chirping in the forest. The Y'all is a slower paced track, still mixing in some classical instrumentation before it transitions into a trap beat halfway through with what sounds like a beautiful opera sample. Honestly, re-listening to some of this stuff, it's easy to see why 2hollis transitioned out of the chainmail sound and leaned more into what his current sound is, because it's quite dated and it's a bit juvenile, you know? But the production is nothing to sneeze at. The next notable track on the project is Let You Know, which still holds up in my opinion. The fingerprints of what makes 2hollis Infection to listen to are all over it. It's far more similar to his current sound than the previous tracks, whether it's the vocals or the production. It lines up with his signature sound. The track rounds off with what sounds like him laying on a pile of leaves in the woods, tripping balls looking at the sky. Mirror is so heavily distorted that it has a tangible weight to it. And it has this random beat switch 2/3 of the way through the track, which I don't necessarily dislike, but it's very disorienting, which can be a little grating to the ear. If I had to describe it with an analogy, it'd be like you blind buying a fragrance and then opening it and then spraying it, and the opening is heavenly, you know, and then the dry down, it starts to make your eyes water, and all the people around you kind of cover their nose when they talk to you. That's like the closest analogy I could give you. The same goes for You Always Had No Plan. It feels very experimental. It borders on ironic because it kind of feels like the track had no plan and the album had no plan. The lyrics are all over the place, almost acting like a sonic filler, and there's one too many twists and turns to make it a cohesive body of work. It almost feels like somewhat of a compilation album. I Let It Shine In sounds like a very positive trip report. Even the line, I see the green grass and it makes me want to cry, and the Porter Robinson-esque production emphasizes the beaming, glowing positivity that you feel during an experience like that. Even the spoken word he delivers underscores a sense of unity with existence itself. It genuinely feels like the track is just trying to tell you, all is one, man. All is one, brother. All is one, man. As for Father Thrift, it's par for the course for the album. It's a nice way to round the project off. The instrumentation sounds like it was ripped straight from Lord of the Rings, which I've only just gotten around to watching, by the way. It's pretty gay, to be honest. I wasn't missing much, so I don't mind it being like an entire decade and a half late to it. But yeah, it makes for a nice farewell and safe travels wanderer kind of song. As Within, So Without is hot as fuck. It's like the weather right now. It's hot as fuck. I remember listening to this earlier this year and I nearly had a stroke. I nearly died from a stroke. Remedy Luck leaps from Ever Since to Cold Visions in the blink of an eye, and it's so seamless. No Respect doesn't respect you. Or your mother. In fact, No Respect has been talking crazy. It spits in your face and trips you down the stairs. When I'm setting someone up as my competition in life, as a target that I need to outperform. This is 100% the kind of hateful thoughts that I concoct, compiled into a sound. It's easy to say that Tricky also holds up and stands the test of time. The lyrics are a little vapid, but Hollis isn't a modern day Shakespeare to begin with. The vocal effects are beautiful, his sound selection is insane, and the beat closes off almost better than it started. The Trial of 2 is extremely resemblant of his work off of the album 2. I recognize a lot of his samples, but I can never really place them, which is impressive and fucking annoying, but I respect his artistry as a producer. Sign Me Upwards is the weakest track. I don't have much to say about it, honestly. At least that would be the case if it didn't morph into an upward swirl into the highest dimensions of existence midway through the track. It's almost a crime how beautiful the second half is, like being tacked onto the opening. It's almost as if there was a tonsor for Echo 2K, if you know what I'm saying. If you know, you know. Finally Lost was also something I'd heard before, and it's the last project we'll cover for this half of the two-parter. I still remember the first time I'd set my eyes on the Tiferet music video. The break in the case of a Lost 2 is very solid. At this point, it's clear that Hollis has found his sound and is settling into it. You Ain't On It is so emblematic of this current era of rap. Shout out to the OSX members for making appearances on this project, by the way. Also, this track has a section that's been copy-pasted, but I won't say anything. Real recognize real. If you recognize it and you know, you're literally the homie. By the way, if you're still watching this, you're also literally the homie. Life of a Feeling is a 3-stage track, opening with a cut from a 70s workout demo, pivoting into the signature synth and trap drum combo. The song also is filled with pitch shifts, and it stays high energy and punchy before sliding effortlessly into a shrieking ballad of esoteric practices. Talisman's fucks, but it's more of the same. The same goes for the rest of the project, but I want to talk about Leads specifically because of the obvious White Armor and Blade influence. The ice-cold opening synths are straight off of Red Light and Ever Since. The goofy but oddly introspective lyrics are also very reminiscent of Blade's work on those projects. And Hollis actually credits Blade as being one of the major inspirations to even make music. Being one of the first acts he ever saw live, and mentioning that he then understood that he could make music too. But yeah, that does it for this leg of our journey together. We'll start by covering Lost Files first in the next video, which should be out so soon, very soon. So stick around for that. Subscribe if you have a big dick and a bigger heart, and I'll see you guys shortly. Take care and die well.